About 100 years ago, Cambridge University Press published the Cambridge Modern History, planned by Lord Acton and appearing after his death in 14 volumes. That book set the model for many Cambridge histories to follow, of authoritative overviews of major topics with chapters written by specialists. These book series were designed, in the words of the 13-volume Cambridge History of China, to be the largest and most comprehensive coverage of their topic in English and to cover every major theme. The Cambridge World History both breaks with and follows the model set by its august predecessors. Being the largest and most comprehensive history that covers every major theme would take at least 300 volumes. And in a world where we send messages with 140 characters and photos that disappear in 6 seconds, who would read or buy such a thing? So the press decided a more realistic size was about half that of Lord Acton's and came to me with an offer to edit it. World history is a contentious and exciting field, and also a fairly new one, with conferences, professional societies, journals, and other markers of an up-and-coming field really only appearing since the 1980s, and some only within the last decade. There is no canon, which makes editing something like this both exciting and frightening. Where should the story start? How should it be organized? What absolutely had to be there? What could we leave out, which is always a big question in world history. So I brought together a group of scholars as the board of editors that had a range of opinions on these and other issues, and we mapped it out. We decided right away to cover all of human history, not simply that since the development of written records, with an expansive view that is common to the newest thinking in world history. Thus we would present archaeology and history as complementary approaches to the human past with no sharp dividing line between them. The volume editors included archaeologists as well as historians, and the author pool was also very diverse. There were historians and archaeologists, there were also anthropologists, sociologists, economists, area studies specialists, religious history specialists, and cultural studies scholars. Many of them were, like the authors had been in Lord Acton's, senior scholars whose works had helped form the field. But some of them, unlike Lord Acton's, were also mid-career or younger scholars, including a few women, whose works would shape the field in the future. The Cambridge World History is 7 volumes in 9 books, with a slightly overlapping chronology to represent the complex periodization of a truly global history. Each volume covers a slightly shorter time period than its predecessor, ranging from volume 1 that covers the 95% of human history that is the Paleolithic, to volume 7, a double volume that covers the period from 1750 to the present, which we term the era of production, destruction, and connection. Each volume centers on a theme or a cluster of themes that the volume editors have decided is particularly important in the period and also important for understanding world history as a whole. Our guiding principle has been that the Cambridge World History is comprehensive but not exhaustive, so each volume editor has made difficult decisions about what to include and what to leave out. Each volume editor has also made a decision about how to organize the material in the way that seemed most appropriate to that volume, so the organizational schema differs slightly volume to volume, reflecting newer ideas also that world history can be approached at a range of scales, both geographic scales and chronological scales. Each volume includes global essays, regional essays, comparative essays, thematic ones, and a few case studies to present essays with a depth of field to go along with the broad range of focus that is a distinguishing mark of world history. Lord Acton's Cambridge Modern History, which he and the press described as a history of the world, reflected his own time and his own time's understanding of history. It was primarily political, and in only a handful of chapters were the actors individuals, institutions, or states outside of Europe or North America. In the same way, the Cambridge World History reflects our own time. The editors tried as much as possible to find authors from around the world, and the topics include not only the traditional focus in world and global history on large-scale economic and political processes carried out by governments and commercial elites, but also newer areas of concern, such as the environment, social change, and cultural issues. I do not expect the Cambridge World History to last for all time, as some editors of earlier Cambridge history have, because in a field as dynamic as world and global history, new transformative knowledge is being created all the time. But I hope that Cambridge World History will provide an entree to the field, stimulate discussion, provoke research in regional, transregional, transnational, comparative, and global topics, and serve as a useful overview of this dynamic field.